Good day, everybody. This is John Scarborough and Savannah Scarborough. We are out here today. We're getting the yard cleaned up. Just kind of a good summer afternoon, trying to get everything all ready, prepped, and cleaned back up after a hard weekend. Today's topic is actually going to be why everyone sees me wearing long sleeves a lot of the time. I've gotten some comments asking about that, asking why I'm like that. When we see Savannah dressed like this, she's out here trying to get a tan and running around like a normal person in summer, and I'm running around like a crazy person. So I'm going to trade the camera with Savannah. There you go. And you can see how this is how crazy people dress. See this? Look at this. Does this look like what a normal human being would wear? So today I'd like to kind of get into why I dress this way on the farm and kind of what I'm really trying to pull off, because it's not really on the farm that this started. I mean, honestly, it's been throughout my entire blue-collar profession. So this started, honestly, I was against the idea completely. I was the kind of guy, I'd wear a t-shirt, I'd wear whatever I could, I remember being a teenager, I would take my shirt off all the time, which I still do to, if I'm trying to get a tan or something. But I would wear just like shorts and no shirt, walk around, and that would be it. I'd be fine, But over time, I got to where, honestly, it was really when I started welding that it changed for me, because I would weld and I'd be hot and I'd be sweating in my shirt, and I would start to realize that despite the fact I was hot, I would actually realize that I wasn't miserable and tired or exhausted the next day, even though I was hot in my shirt. And you can tell, like if you see this, I'm starting to sweat just a little bit in the shirt. These shirts do make me sweat sooner than I normally would. Now there's some advantages and there's also some disadvantages to that. And we'll get into that in just a second. But what I realized is that I wasn't feeling fatigued. So I'm like, well, why am I not feeling fatigued? What's really going on here? Well, the reality is what's going on is the shirt is actually protecting you from the sun, okay? Now, why does that matter? We all know that as you get a tan, the darker you get, the less you have to worry about that, and the stronger you are to that, okay? And for just a second, we'll talk about me and Savannah and our differences. Savannah's a fair-skinned person. She's very fair-skinned. She's very, she's just not gonna tan up as well as I am. Me, I almost never burn, and it's kind of funny that I'm saying that because right now I actually do have a burn, but I almost never burn. I typically, even if I do burn, then it turns into a tan very quickly, and I rarely peel. If I do peel, it's very, very minimal. I think I might burn a little bit, like if we go to Florida or something like that, but even then, it's usually not bad. So it's like, I've got enough German in me that I get white in the wintertime, but I usually darken up pretty well. That Indian in me seems to help balance it out. So why does a guy like me even need to worry about that? Well, to be honest, it's strictly anecdotal. I can't give you any scientific evidence, and I'm not even going to try. There was a lot of guys that I worked with. There were darker skinned guys. There were some Indian guys that I worked with, and there were some Mexican guys that I worked with. And all of them always swore by wearing long sleeve shirts. And I started thinking, now wait a minute, these guys are naturally dark skinned. I mean, I was a little bit jealous of them, the fact that they could handle the heat better than I could. But even they would wear the long sleeve shirts all day, and they would just say, well, it just gives you energy. It gives you energy. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, eventually I just started wearing my long sleeve shirts even when I wasn't welding. I just started trying it and started to run it. And yes, I did lose some energy because I sweat a little bit more. So the caveat is I had to start increasing the salt and increasing the potassium, making sure that I had enough electrolytes. So to really summarize what I'm trying to say is, even though I lost a little bit of energy from the sweat, realistically I felt a lot better. I was more energetic, especially as long as I was making sure that those electrolytes was being replenished, which realistically you should be doing that anyway, no matter what you're doing. I mean, we all know by now water by itself, especially bleached water, is just not good enough. You've got to have the salt, the potassium, you've got to have all your electrolytes in there to keep yourself where you need to be. So what I found out is, despite the fact that my body could handle the sun and I would darken up, I would actually feel like I worked out hard. Like if I worked in the sun all day. And I want to start by saying this. There's a lot of guys on YouTube right now. I think the Liver King is one of them. There's a lot of guys that are really big names on YouTube, and they're talking a lot about the health benefits of sun and getting out in the sun and exposing your body to the sun. I believe in that, okay? I don't believe in everything that they say, but I do believe in the benefits of the sun, and that's why I try to get a lot of sun. But as a blue collar man, a man that actually works in the sun and doesn't spend the majority of my day in an office, I'm outside all day. I am getting every ounce of that sun. I'm outside when the sun comes up, and I'm outside when the sun comes down some days, okay? Me and Savannah, we were just working together, putting a little roof on an off-farm job that we did for a little bit of income, a little bit of cash flow. And on that job, not only am I outside all day, but I'm also on that roof. The heat's coming back at me. It's really getting to me. And I told Savannah, I made the comment that if I hadn't have been wearing this shirt, I would have been, after 2.5 days, I would have been gone. I mean, I would have been trashed. My energy would have been nothing. So I guess the gist of what I'm trying to say is for me personally, I'm not telling you what to do, okay? Don't have a heat stroke out there, but for me personally, I have felt significantly better doing a mix of both because I want to get enough sun. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll be out working, and I'll either be in shorts. So there's a pair of gym shorts I've got that Savannah got me. I'll be in gym shorts. Sometimes I'm in my skivvies, okay? That's just the reality of it. Sometimes, you know, there's no road near me. No one can see me. So I work as freely as I would like to work. And sometimes I do that. I'll get me some good morning sun, you know, and I'll get as much sun as I can. So I even tell people sometimes, if you've got a farmer's tan, you're probably doing it wrong. And I'm kind of messing around with that. But what I'm trying to say is I'm either wearing those shorts, no shirt or anything, and I'm working. A lot of times I'm working barefooted if I can. I just like it. My feet feel better, my knees feel better, my legs feel better, my whole body feels better, okay? Once I feel like I've gotten enough sun or a little bit too much sun, I'm gonna switch to this right here, okay? Now some days I have to work in this more than I want to. If I'm doing a lot of welding or metal work or hot work, yeah, I've got to wear this longer than I really want to, especially if I've got to do a full week of this, you know, and I don't like that, you know. But for a normal day's work, you know, I'll start off in the morning just wearing my shorts, come out, do whatever I've got to do. I'm checking the animals, I'm putting, you know, do whatever I need to do, taking care of everything. And then after probably about 10:30 to 12 o'clock, depending on how hot it is, depending on how bad the sun is, I'm going to switch to this. And I just feel better overall. The reason I wanted to bring this video out is because I know that a lot of you guys, first of all, I've had some questions about it. But secondly, a lot of you guys started out, guys and girls, a lot of you people that are homesteaders or starting out farming, y'all started out from a background that was an office background. And that is great because it helps you in a lot of different ways. It actually gives you an advantage in this new world that we have advertising. But the advantage that you don't have is sometimes you're not completely aware of, you know, what's realistic when you spend a full day. Like, what is a real blue collar day like? You know, you're not fully coming into that and understanding it completely. And sometimes you just don't understand how much that sun can drain you. Now, yes, I know that I could use sunscreen and things like that. I don't like to use sunscreen every day. If I'm out on the beach and I'm getting too much sun, yes, I'm going to put some sunscreen on every day. Me personally, it's a personal choice. I don't want to put sunscreen on every single day. I choose to wear this. And honestly, this is a thin shirt, by the way. This is not what I'm going to use to weld in. I may TIG weld in this, but I'm not going to weld in this all day. You can buy these thinner shirts. They're really aerobic, for a lack of words. They allow a lot of oxygen in it. I know that that's not the appropriate word, but you get what I'm saying. Once you sweat, once you soak this in sweat, the lightest, the tiniest breeze that you wouldn't even normally feel, all of a sudden you can feel it. It comes right through you. You feel great. Everything feels great. You actually cooler, you're more comfortable, but the main thing is by the end of the day, you don't feel drained. You don't feel like you've had a very hard, honestly, the best way I can describe it is my energy is like as if I went and did a heavy set of squats. Like if I go and I do a squat day, my legs don't feel like that, but the energy feels like that the next day. I'm drained, I'm tired, I don't fully understand why, and that's why. The sun will take it out of you. There's a lot of benefits to the sun. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you all that. I'm not going to go into all of that stuff. So you do your own research. You do all of that. And I'm not going to tell you you need to be wearing a long sleeve shirt. I'm only telling you what works for me as a blue collar man, what has worked for me for over 10 years now, and what has worked very well, and what keeps me working hard all day, feeling great all day. I mean, I feel wonderful all day long. And what gets a lot of work done. And this is even something that Savannah could respond to some point, because she didn't start out working as hard as I do outdoors. You know, she grew up in a farming background, but realistically a lot of her work was indoors. You know, she even went to school to be an ag teacher and all like that, did that for a while. So most of her experience was outdoors. Now that she's switched over into farming, and we're gonna have another video on that, now that she has started to experience some of the same things that I'm experiencing with the full day in the sun, and how those things can affect your energy and just simply working outdoors. So Savannah, just briefly mention your thoughts on that when you're out here working all day in the hot sun. Like you're out here weed eating in your attire simply because you've got morning sun. You're getting some morning sun. But what are your thoughts on actually covering up, like when we were out there on that roof job?
I didn't like to cover up, but I did, and I didn't do it as much. If I probably would have, I mean, I covered up and it helped, but if I would have covered up more, it would have helped more.
But you remember the first day that you didn't cover up, you remember just how drained you were talking about that.
Yeah, I was like super tired, and so if I would have done a little bit more, and even the second day, I probably wouldn't have been as drained as I was.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's my experience. I'm going to wrap this video up now. I just wanted to share that. I've had some comments on it. I know it's not going to appeal to everybody, but realistically, if you're in the blue-collar industry, if you're doing anything in farming or anything outdoors, and you're outdoors for more than 6 hours, I mean, there are days that I'm outdoors for 12, 14 hours getting exposed to sun, depending on how much sun. So I'm exposed to all the southern sun, and a lot of days right now in the middle of summer is 100-degree days with full sun. That's going to drain you if you're not taking good care of yourself. So personally, I think it applies. If you don't think it applies, I apologize. But as always, don't forget, like and subscribe.